and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by journalist and documentarian Keem Jones. Keem, it's great to see you again. You and I met once upon a time, and we had a viral moment at a Trump rally all the way back in 2016, and it kind of put you in the national spotlight. So for anyone who's not familiar with this situation, will you please tell everybody the story?
So in 2016, I attended a Trump rally with a friend, and first and foremost, I want to preface this: I'm not affiliated with any political parties or anything, so I just went strictly as a voter.
Yeah.
And what started as a disagreement between two people that were on the road with me, I literally and figuratively ended up in the middle of, which ended up with me getting escorted out. But on the way of getting escorted out, I was assaulted. And rather than grab the person who assaulted me, I was grabbed. And, the video, everyone's seen the video, and it's pretty much it. And it kind of took on a life of its own afterwards. So it's pretty much.
Well, so you were at this Trump rally. First of all, you say you're not affiliated with any political group. I appreciate that. And what else I appreciate is that you actually showed up to get informed, to say like, okay, well, I don't really know. I mean, this guy's running for president, Donald Trump. Maybe I ought to check it out. Maybe I ought to see what's going on here. I appreciate that you took the time to do that and inform yourself, because a lot of people, Keem, don't even do that. So you went there, and there was some like altercation in the bleachers, from what I remember, right? And you were kind of caught up in it, but you and I took a photo that then I think got you in a bit of hot water as well, right?
4 years later, 4 years later in 2020, when I ended up leading the protest here. But before that, me going to the Trump rally, I'm gonna be fully honest. It wasn't necessarily about going to see a voter. It was more of in pop culture. It was a pop culture thing. Like, hey, you seen Donald Trump? You seen him at Home Alone? You've heard of The Apprentice? You've heard all these different things. So it's like, I want to see what $1 billion look like in person. I had to see the mannerisms, how they carry. I had to see this in person. So it was like the opportunity. It just so happened that it fell around the time he was running for presidency. So, but yeah, fast forward to 2020. By this time, I ended up leading the protests as a result of the George Floyd death, and then I began to work in radio, just hosting a show. And as a part of the show, I wanted to become informed. So I connected with the Republican Party here, and I guess you guys were coming into town. It was you, the lady Diamond and Silk. So
we're on a bus.
Yeah, you were on the bus. You came into town, and I was like, they asked, "Did we want to come meet you guys?" And I was like, "Hey, why not?" Like, I'm gonna be honest. I've always been a person that I wanted to be informed. It was more of being informed versus, hey, I got to see what the politics are about. It's like, I want to be informed so I can be able to translate to the people who may not be as informed.
Right.
More of a bridge.
And so you came out. You came to that. We had like a bus tour stop in Fayetteville, which I'm from Wilmington, which is like an hour and a half from Fayetteville. So I know Fayetteville very well. And actually, Fayetteville is where Diamond and Silk, who were on the bus with me, are originally from. And so you came out and you met us, and you and I took a photo. And I guess people got pretty upset about the photo, Keem.
Yeah, people got upset about the photo. I mean, to an extent, it became to where I could not combat everyone individually or go tit for tat on the internet or just address everything. So I kind of grabbed a pen and paper and let it lead from there.
And so you became kind of a journalist because of that, because you wanted to just tell your side of things or tell at least what you believe people should hear. Is that right?
Yes, yes, yes. So I decided to pretty much, while addressing that, also offer some sense of peace and understanding for those who may have a misunderstanding of why I was there, why I took the picture, or why I said what I said, because I said, hey, all Trump supporters are not that bad. And people took that like, oh my God, yeah. It's like, they not.
Keem, how could you say something like that? We're all monsters. Don't you know that? It's so, but I love that you, again, you came to a Trump rally, then you came out to meet us at this bus, the tour stop that we had. And then people were giving you a hard time because of what my last name is. And I imagine that your experience at both the Trump rally and coming out to, see us on our bus stop tour was relatively positive. And so you just were saying, you know what? Everything that you're hearing out there may not be exactly right. And let me tell you what I experienced, right? So having been at a Trump rally, and now, you're sitting here with me, gosh, five years later, it's 2025. I met you originally, 5 years ago. How do you see the role of dialogue and actually being able to talk to one another and tell your truth about something, bridging the gap between political differences or even people that might have differing opinions? Because I feel like people are so hot, Keem, these days, especially in the age of social media, when everyone can just hide behind one of these things. You hide behind a phone. People are so apt not to listen to somebody with whom they disagree. They just want to say, I'm going to post something, it's going to be nasty, and you'll never come back at me because you can't see me because it's a screen. How do you see us talking to one another? Do you ever see a point when we're going to get back to something like that again?
Really, I feel at this point it's a generational thing. My age group, so I'm 35. I'm 35 and 36 next month. So my age group, we kind of grew up in a time where you had to talk to somebody. If you didn't like someone, it wasn't, I couldn't see it on the internet. I had to actually know you to know you didn't like me, or I had to actually physically speak to you. And then at that point, we'll get some kind of understanding. But now, like you said, people hide behind the screens, and it just takes away the personable aspect of humanity that allows people to gain understanding.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't just stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dream bed sheets. Any size, any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and California kings, any size, any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 1-800-624-3945, use promo code LARA, or go to mypillow.com and make sure you use the promo code LARA for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dream Sheets, any size and any color. Number again is 1-800-624-3945. Yeah, you and I grew up, Keem, basically in the same era, right? And you couldn't hide behind something like that. You're right. You had to come face to face with a bully or whoever it was, somebody who was trash talking you, whatever it might be. You actually confronted that person and you solved an issue. These days, it's just so open-ended and people can say the craziest things. They say the craziest things about you once you become, somewhat of a public figure, which, believe me, those of us in my family know very well. But I imagine you probably had a little taste of that with all of this, right? Because your experiences sort of took you to a bit of a viral, more well-known level. Were you surprised with the things that people were saying to you, or how upset, I guess, people got with the fact that you actually took the time to go out and meet a member of the Trump family or go to a Trump rally?
So yes, I was. I guess for me, it was more of a wow moment because you hear it in the news, but I guess for me, it was different experiencing it and being on the other side of it. It's like wow, like you people are mad. For me, it was being. These were my personal decisions. It wasn't nothing I consulted anyone about. This wasn't nothing that was pre-planned. Just literally my regular, hey, what do you want to do decisions. And I
Hmm.
didn't understand why people were affected by it so much.
Wow. Well, I think that says that you actually have an ability to see things beyond like the pinprick moment that you're in right now, which not a lot of people, Keem, actually have the ability to do. So I think that's something you should be proud of. But, since you've had this experience, you've actually focused on trying to unify. And you've done that through projects like One Fayetteville, which I'd love to hear more about. So, how do you think events like rallies can be a space for constructive conversation? How are you trying to unify people now and work on this issue that obviously kind of led us to this conversation here today?
Um, so ironically, the person that I co-founded One Fayetteville that I started the project with, I met at a Trump rally.
Oh, there you go.
Um, Michelle, I met her at a Trump rally. She was pretty cool. She came out. She was like, hey, she understood my point of view. I understood her point of view, and we met in the middle, which is pretty much what I feel everyone should do at this point. Just meet in the middle. You don't have to. You don't have to agree on everything, but it's these basic things. If you can agree on these, everyone live their life. I feel like everything could be better. That's
Hmm.
what One Fayetteville was about. It wasn't about Republican, Democrat, this side, that side. It was about everyone has to be in this one space. So while we're all in this space, let's make it as comfortable as we can for ourselves. And me, I'm also a father. So it's about making this space comfortable for my children and their
Yep.
children and their friends. Just making sure everyone is comfortable. That's it.
Well, and we can all find common ground. I think that that's something that we often forget. And I think we're sort of led down a path of assuming that you can't do that anymore. The mainstream media, for sure, I believe, plays a huge role in that. And, we're very heavily influenced by the media, by, what we see on social media, by celebrities and the like. And especially people of our generation, I feel, Keem, are probably more impacted by that even than a younger generation coming up today who kind of seem to have almost gotten it to a certain extent. And I feel optimistic about kind of where our country's headed and in a lot of respects. But I love that you're doing it, and I love that you're trying to say, listen, let's try to find a space where we can kind of come together and get along, because that's where you get the great ideas. It's not from just listening to this side or just listening to that side. It's by listening to all sides and saying, what can we take from this that's going to be good for all of us. What is your goal? What do you want to see happen, or what do you plan to do with kind of your future moving forward?
My goal is to continue to document.
Sorry,
Bless you.
Keem.
You're all right, bless you.
Oh my God. It's always three sneezes, Keem. Sorry.
You're all
Tell me
right.
your
You're all right,
goals.
bless
How
you.
to
You're
get
all
that
right.
out.
You're all right. Oh, but honestly, my goal is to continue to document life. So I've been to DC a few times, and I look at the museums and the different places and monuments and old footage and things like that, and I feel like my plan is to continue to document life, and once it's all over, just have it to where we'll be able to tell the stories that weren't heard as loud as the others.
I
That's
love
pretty
that.
much it. I just want to tell the stories
Well, I
that
think I think it's important because sometimes those stories are the most important. And, if we don't document history and learn from history, then we're doomed to repeat history. And we want to make sure that we take the good things from history and we repeat those, and we take the bad things from history and we make sure we never do them again, right? So I think that's a very important role to play. So I love that that's what you're focused on. I think you've already kind of started doing that. I think leaving that Trump rally that day, saying to yourself, listen, I got to talk about my experience after, the photo of us that got people upset with you. You said, I got to actually tell you what this was like. Let me let you hear from me and document what I experienced. But if you had to leave, the people watching and listening today with one thing that you want them to take away from what you've experienced and in our conversation today, maybe about finding common ground, what's the one thing you would say to everybody?
Conversation beats confrontation every time. Those are things that lead to connections that actually activate real change. Because if I'm constantly talking at you, you talking at me, we're not listening to each other. And this is personal and professional, but we're not listening to each other. So conversation over confrontation. That's the
like
way
that. We can take that. We can all take a little piece of that. Conversation over confrontation. Well, I hope people took a little bit of that and think about it, as they walk away from this today. I will say, Keem, that I'm glad that you and I met. I'm happy to reconnect with you here. I'm glad that you have, again, the kind of foresight and the ability to look at the bigger picture versus this kind of little moment where everybody tells you this is how you should act, this is how you should act. It shows really how much bigger you think than the average person, that you had that ability to say, you know what, I'm going to check this out, I'm going to check that out. I really don't care what other people have said. I'm going to get the information for myself. So kudos to you for that. Congratulations for doing it. And I wish you the best of luck with everything that you're doing. And, you and I grew up, like I said, same time, probably, obviously not very far from each other. Where'd you go to high school, Keem, before I let you go?
So I went to high school at Overhills. I graduated from Overhills High School, but I also went to Pine Forest and E.E. Smith.
Okay. I went to Laney High School.
Oh, you went to Laney.
I went to Laney.
So my son's grandmother graduated from Laney.
See? We all have common ground. We can all be connected, Keem. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I knew if I asked you that, you and I would have some connection with our schools, and it's so true. So, listen, good luck. And by the way, Keem, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being willing to sit down and talk to me. I really appreciate the time and your willingness to do it. So, so thanks so much. It was great to have you.
No problem. I would love to come up there. I would love to come to DC. I would actually like this. So every time I come to DC, I come and look at the White House. But I would love to one day just bring my boys and my daughter and come and see it in person, get a tour.
Well, you let me know when, and we'll get you a beautiful tour of the White House with the kids.
Yeah, I would love to bring my kids up there and come and see the White House. I think that would be great. Like, honestly, my birthday.
Well, it's the people's house, so you are very welcome, and every American is. So I would love to help you with that. You let us know, and we'll get it set up, and maybe you'll come back and you'll tell us about that experience.
That's one thing I would love to come back and tell about that experience. I think that would be
okay. Great. It's a deal then. All right. Well, Keem Jones, thanks so much for joining me today. To everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow, and we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
Thank you.
And I won't back down.